'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the diner, Ali gave advice to a drug-addled miner. The breakfast was served by Miss Marsha with care, in hopes that young Rue would learn to beware. They sat and they munched on warm toasted bread, while visions of Jules danced in her head. Rue in her hoodie and Ali in his cap had just settled their brains for a deep winter's wrap. When out at the motel there arose such a clatter, they sprang from the booth to see what was the matter. Away to the window they flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. When what to their wondering eyes should appear but a gigantic truck with a driver so queer. A hunky beefcake so meaty and bad, they knew in a moment it must be Domi and Dad. More rapid than eagles his hookups they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Monaco, now Jules, now Dancer and Vixen, on Crystal, on China, on Gina and Blitzen, to the bottle of Cooks, to the motel bed, now dash away, give me some head.
Euphorians!
Hello, Euphorians.
Oof, holy fucking shit. We are here. We just finished the special episode, Part 1 Rue, Trouble, Don't Last Always, and...
We've got something to celebrate.
Wow. Yeah.
For the first time in a while.
We have cooks. This time we are not going to be sober. We aren't sober. I'm
not
tipsier
sober.
than you, but like... Now I'm going to get really drunk during this.
We're not sober, and now we're going to get drunker.
Let me hear that cook's pop. Oh my god, I'm
here
scared.
you go.
I'm scared. I hate this part. Make it whisper. No, make it pop. Ah! I hate that. Oh my god, did it spill?
Hey, no.
Oh my god, wait, I always like hearing it. Wait.
I'm an amateur.
Oh my god. If you can all hear that sound.
that
Cook Champagne is sponsored by That's Euphoric. Just kidding. I really wish that would be.
We need to be sponsored by Cook's Champagne.
I know.
Not the other way around. I don't want to sponsor Cooks. I want them to sponsor us.
Oh, I would. Oh, I know, but I'd want to do like ads for them. And I feel like Cal should too. Like I feel like Eric Dane. I feel like I almost said what's his name. I'm so rough around the edges lately because we've had such a Euphoria dry spell, and I'm gonna cheers to us getting our Euphoria pussy's wet.
Cheers to popping that cherry for
yes.
the 9th time.
Cheers. Wait, I want like a good gulp. Okay. Wow. We have a lot to unpack, and I feel like we don't need any structure. Like, we're just gonna dive right in. Like, this is literally, we just turned off the TV, and now we're just sitting here drinking champagne, getting drunker, and we're just gonna fucking go for it.
Yeah, Paige, right off the bat, thoughts.
Oh my god, I can hardly breathe.
Give me the raw impression.
I know, it's just like, it's so dark, but I'm glad it was, if that makes sense. Like, of course, a part of me was like hoping it'd be a little bit of Christmas cheer, but like I knew it wasn't gonna be. Like, we ended with Rue like essentially dying. Like, she didn't actually die, but like we thought she fucking died. So it'd be really weird if like this episode was like bang, like Euphoria, like Labyrinth singing and like rhinestones and like the whole thing. So I kind of like appreciated that it was really fucking dark and like simplified, if you will.
Yeah, this was a real.
What about you? What was your like? What's like one word for me? Okay, one word to encapsulate what we just watched. I would say like heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. It was.
What was your raw reaction? Like your initial. Just turned it off.
I thought it was great. Obviously, like very, very heavy. I really liked the like self-contained like 2-character format that
Banter.
they went with. Very reminiscent of like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad. Like That's just one of the more famous examples of like shows taking like a break from the action to give you like just like two characters interacting for an entire episode.
For sure.
And when that's done right, it can be so good, and I think they did a really good job. I think they totally nailed that format and the execution of it.
Yeah, I think it shows that Sam Levinson's just a great like writer and director. Like it's nice because we don't get any like surprises like a lot of other shows. They have like multiple writers. I'm not quite sure. I think Sam just writes it all. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think so too.
But I think to me it
but
speaks
I know he wrote
volume.
this one. But yeah.
Yeah, like it just shows and it makes sense, and you can really, of course, we know more because we're all super fans and we look into it. But like, if you weren't a super fan just watching it, you can tell that the writing is just so consistent, which I appreciate. Like, it never feels different. You can tell it's Sam telling.
And it's very in the vein of like all these. The fact that it like takes place in this like all night diner places it amongst like many other
Franks
kind of like classic like conversation based pieces that take place in diners. Like you have like classic like Reservoir Dogs shit or like Coffee and Cigarettes. Like conversations in a diner is kind of like its own like weird micro genre.
For sure.
And this definitely is like right in there.
And you know me, I actually like weirdly, I have like my own little like subset page genre of favorite movies or TV shows that stay in one setting. Like The Breakfast Club is like one of my all-time favorite films. And I'm just like a film geek, and that I think if you can create something that just takes place in one spot and you can do it well, like fuck, I think that's extremely
if that
skillful.
doesn't become boring, like that's a challenge, and I think they did a great job with it.
Exactly. But that's just like something geeky about me that I like in directors. Like if you can do that, I'm very impressed. So
also,
I was
geeky,
impressed.
did you notice that I'm pretty sure they shot it on film because it had a lot of grain to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How do you know the difference? I forget. Like,
I mean, you can't always like just tell,
Yeah.
but like this was like shot on like particularly like grainy film if it was, and if not, like maybe we just had really shitty connection. But it sure seemed like it was like.
Wasn't it because it was through the
grainy.
window though? Like you could see in the behind the scene.
No, it was like the actual like.
Oh.
Either we had a shitty connection or there was some serious like
well, we have
grain,
HBO Max,
like film grain going on there.
Yeah, we have HBO Max. Shout out Louise, one of our best friends. He lets us use his HBO Max, so he's literally the only reason we're even able to podcast
Shout
this
out
evening.
Louise.
Shout out. But we had our computer plugged into our TV, so it could just be us.
But no, I think it was because at the
quality.
end when they were like doing the recap, like or the behind the scenes stuff, it was like very noticeably different when they would switch from scenes from the episode and then back to like Sam Levinson talking or something.
Got it. Okay, so I feel like we're not gonna have structure, but let's just like shoot the shit for a minute. So what did you think about the intro scene of like Jules and Rue? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little like I was like blushing while watching because I'm just not used to seeing them be so intimate. Like every time they've had a really like amazing like aha moment, like the night of the fair when they like make out in bed, it's like very dramatic, very fantastical. It almost doesn't feel real. And this was kind of like the first time where you're like, this is like a little. It felt a little weird because I'm just like not used to seeing them be a real couple. I'm used to them always being so complicated and like.
Yep.
Yeah, it felt a little like basic, if you will. I'm not like criticizing it at all. I just.
Not a fan of it.
No. It's not that I'm not a fan. I'm just saying I'm not used to seeing them be like a basic couple is what I meant. Like kissing and being like, I love you. Like, oh, good luck at like college today. Like it just felt weird because I'm just not used to it. It's not that I'm not like standing it. I just, like I said, I'm used to them being like highly complicated.
It sounds like you hated it.
Really? I don't know.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just.
I don't think I do.
I'm fucking with you.
I'm kind of confessing that I don't think I could ever like stand Jules and Rue together like end game because I don't
That's a
really.
big revelation.
Yeah, I'm not the fan that like sees them living this dream like what they just showed, like them in New York, like living a little apartment, like yay, our lives are great. Like I don't know. I feel like they are those type of people that will have something really, really special and meaningful that will like change both their lives forever. But like sometimes you leave it at that and that makes it more special. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm kind of the opposite. I really
Oh
liked it, but
Interesting.
and I think that for me, like really liking it makes this episode all the more like tragic because it's very clear that like Rue and Jules can't be together.
Yeah.
So it like hurts more because you get like this glimpse of like how nice it could be, but then it's like at the end of it all, like Rue's still an addict, and like you're like, yeah, that can never happen. Like Rue can't be with Jules, like at least not for a really, really, really long time, like
and it's,
if at all. And they like bring in Miss Marsha basically to like solidify that, like our girl Miss Marsha is like, yeah, you really like, you can't really have both.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be good.
Well, they're 17.
If you're trying to do both. Like,
even if they did want to do both, they're not like 25 or 30. They're 17. So Jules...
I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, if you're an addict,
but Jules
you can't
isn't going to look
it.
in that and go, you know what, you're an addict and you fuck up all the time, but like, I'm in it for the long run. Like, you don't say that when you're 17. Like, she's exploring
nobody
herself.
says that. No one's here for that.
I know, but she's just a little more... I feel like we've always said, like, Jules is on a more confident track. She's kind of like learning, like, more about herself, like meeting new people and kind of going like, ooh, like this could be cool. And Rue's kind of like stuck in her addiction. So I just don't, I feel like they're too young to like
and I think that was like commitment. The real, like one of the real like hurts of that episode is like the Rue Jules thing is not going to, I feel like it won't even be able to be a lasting arc in the show because it's going to be so obvious that Rue can't be with Jules.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like, it sucks, but this episode like kind of sealed the fate of their relationship. Like they're not going to be able to be together. Which
I think it's still going to be complicated though. I don't think it's going to be like they're not together. Of course,
it'll still be like complex
up and down
and shitty always. Like they're always going to like, I think they'll like love each other, but like they're not going to end up together.
Yeah. I really wonder, I'll probably do more research later, but I wonder if that was Jules' actual apartment. And the only reason I say that is because that was absolutely her art that she was like going through. She's posted it on Instagram. I knew.
Yep.
And
cool. That's cool.
Or they just decorated the set like really fucking well because I'm a positive that was like all of her shit. Like that was all of Hunter's shit. Like you saw like the purse that you liked right by her front door. What was it? Like a fruit?
It was like a fruit punch bag.
Yeah. Like I could just tell. And she did like a Vogue interview a long time ago about like her life in New York City and like what it's like, and it was kind of like whimsical, and they like showed a deeper look into like what her New York day-to-day life is, and I felt like that looked just like her apartment, but I could totally be fucking that up. But
interesting.
But anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. Like her shirt was cool, her collared shirt with like the clouds on it.
Yeah, I was into that.
What did you think about Alex thought Rue was smoking crack at first because she had like a rolling paper.
She had not a rolling paper, but she had some like piece of plastic pipe that she was like.
It wasn't plastic. I think it was just a piece of paper. I think she took it out of her journal and rolled it up so that she could sniff.
Whatever.
When she went to the bathroom.
I thought Rue was about to smoke crack at the end of that dream sequence.
Absolutely out loud. I was like, is she smoking crack? I was like, oh Jesus! Like, is Rue really like a crack addict now?
To like snort the crushed up pill.
Like Merry Christmas, Rue's a crack addict.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, that was about as dark of a Christmas episode as you can get.
Yeah,
it takes place on Christmas Eve, and I think other than that, like the only other Christmas aspect of it was like Ave Maria at the end,
which I will say, like, I stand that song so hard. Any movie that's ever had that song, I feel like is so powerful.
That was a very like dark labyrinth like version.
It was, but it was
Maria.
good.
And it was so him. It had like the organ and shit.
I know, I liked it. You know me though, I love that shit. So I really liked that. But Ave Maria in itself, I think, is a song you wouldn't know I liked, if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's the only like opera-y like psycho song that I'm just really into. I think it's powerful. So I liked that choice is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they didn't give us a warm and cozy Christmas episode though.
No, not at all. So
that was hard.
We get the Jules and Rue scene. Was there anything else from that we felt was important? I mean, it was so short. I mean, Hunter Schafer didn't get a lot of screen time, let's be honest.
But I think it's safe to assume that the second episode is going to be a Jules episode. So
absolutely.
That's cool. We're going to get a good old Jules episode. Let's hope that it does not have, what's her name? Stinky McGee.
Natalie or, no.
Whatever that fucking
It'll come to me later. I'm too tipsy. The girl that she meets at the rave with her other friend when they go to LA.
Let's hope the Jules segment is light on that bitch, whatever her name is.
Oh, shit. She's so unimportant to us that we can't remember her name. That poor girl, like in real life, if I ever ran into that actress, I'd feel so bad. We just shit on her so hard.
If I ever ran into that actress, I would throw something at her.
Oh my god, no, you wouldn't. That's psycho. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it was weird. I felt like a little uncomfortable watching them like make out in bed and stuff because I was just like, oh, like they're almost like too good to be true. And I, like you said,
That was
I don't
hot
know.
though.
It was hot. Yeah. We got a little bit of nudity.
Got a lot of topless Jules in there for her only being in the episode like a couple minutes.
I know. She just was like, all right, shirt off,
No
here we
complaints.
go. Yeah, she probably asked Sam, like, can I at least show my tits since I'm not in this, like, for very long? And he was like, yeah, girl, do your thing.
I'm sure that's what Sam Levinson said.
Okay, I don't think it went down like that at all. But I'm trying to think if there was anything else in that scene that was, like, stood out or was important.
Not really.
It was a little depressing that she went and did drugs in the bathroom because it kind of gave you a glimpse into what, like...
Well, that's the thing. They can't be... If they're together,
saying,
Rue
yeah.
can't not be an addict. Like,
do you think she was hiding it from her? Was that... Because it was under the mattress, so it made
probably.
me think, like, it's not perfect. Because she leaves, and then she's like...
Of course not. Because Rue can't be with her without being an addict. Like,
I know.
I don't think
Which is sad, because right before she does the drugs, Jules is like... Right as she goes out the door, she's like, this is everything we dreamed of. And then Rue goes and does fucking drugs.
Yep.
Sucks.
Rue's an addict for life. She's got it bad.
She does.
I think this episode really, like, solidified that. Like, this is, like... She's really, like, an Ollie. Like, this is, like, a lifelong... I mean, we always knew that, but, like, this episode really, like, showed you, like, the depths of, like, her addiction and, like... We get, like, more character building for Rue in this episode than in, like, almost all of season 1.
I agree.
So much more, like, depth and, like, more insight into, like, her motivations and her mindset and what she's, like, dealing with.
They really peeled back those layers.
Yeah,
Onions.
which I think is really...
She's an onion.
I think that's great for setting up season 2, that we get, like, this level of, like, depth into Rue.
Yep.
So I think that, like, weirdly, these episodes may... end up being really beneficial to season 2.
I think so too. And we saw in the little like 6-minute after the episode recap, they mentioned that, or Sam mentioned that it was weird because this pause in filming allowed him to show us that, which is crazy to think we wouldn't have gotten that. They weren't meaning for that to be like just in the diner. It was more of like a quick scene.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that we get to see like the more complex side of Rue. I agree, because I don't think we would have seen it otherwise.
And I think we'll get the same thing next week too. Like, I think going into season 2, we're gonna understand Rue and Jules like way fucking more than we did before.
Absolutely. We were laughing because the diner, I don't know about everyone listening, but I don't remember. We were saying we think that's Cal's motel. But if it is, I don't remember.
So let's talk, like, details. So, like, the diner is in the parking lot
Frank's
of
Restaurant,
the motel.
I think is what it was called.
Whatever. Yeah, I think so. But it's in the parking lot of the motel, which is interesting because I think in previous shots of the motel, there's been a building there, but I don't think you've been able to tell what it was. And I don't think they've ever shown, like, windows on it as if it were, like, a restaurant.
We'll have to go back and watch.
So that was weird and interesting.
A little weird. I also like that there was another time in Euphoria where it rained at the motel, and I always laugh because I'm like, it does not really rain that much in California. It rains like 5 times a year. So they always make it like so sad and rainy, which is fine. I'm here for it. It's fantastical. It's, it's not real life, but like I always laugh because it's like dumping rain, and I'm like, it just doesn't rain that much. Like
the first like half of the episode, I kept expecting like a Cal or like Nate cameo in the background. I thought maybe they would sneak Nate like going to meet up with like Maddie in the motel or something.
Me too. I was like waiting for another character to enter the scene, but a part of me knew. Just because
it's the motel. I thought, or maybe what was Cal's other hookup at the motel?
Oh, the gay boy, the femboy.
I don't know. Monaco. Yeah, I thought maybe Monaco would like stroll by in the background. But alas, no Monaco.
Yeah, I'm glad there wasn't like anymore. I think, like I said, I stand the 2-person dialogue. I didn't really need any other I don't need Cal sneaking into the motel in the background.
Oh, I know. I was just joking. It seems like this doesn't take place. It seems like they did not include Corona.
No.
Not confirmed, but they did make reference to
the revolution,
everything else that's going on in the world, and that is completely fucked up. But it seems like they left Corona out, which I actually like. I don't need masks and Corona talk.
No.
But I think a lot of the like Black Lives Matter, police like brutality, political issues,
they brought up Malcolm
revolution, X. Whatever like that means, like all of that being brought into the story. I think that makes sense in the same way that like bringing 9/11 in makes sense, and that like this is very much an era like devoid of like a national sense of hope.
And you could sense it. Like when they were talking about it, I was imagining as actors, I'm sure that was a really like profound moment in time for them both to be, even though it's fictional and they're just reciting their lines. I can imagine that was highly emotional given the state of like the world right now. Like meaning it probably wasn't that hard to act because that's literally what we're going through right now.
Right. It's also, I was thinking about this during the episode, but it's weird that, like, there ever was a time when there was some sense of, like, a larger, like, national scale of, like, positivity or, like, hope, because even, I know a lot of our listeners are younger or of our age, and, like, I don't ever remember that being a thing. Like,
No.
I've never, like, grown up, like, in a era that felt optimistic. I mean, I guess when I was really young and, like, I guess the Bill Clinton era, from what I remember of it being like 5 years old, it seemed like people were pretty positive, but like that has never been like a part of my life, like having like a like greater sense of like positivity or like optimism for the future or like hope as a country. Like none of that has ever been a thing. So it's
or
weird
if people
that,
are
like,
optimistic, you're like, like eye roll. Have you not watched the news? Like, do you not know what's taking place in the world? Like,
it's odd to think that there were times in the past of this country when that was the norm, and that like the like last 30 years has felt like an upending of that for people that are older than us, whereas for our generation and people like Rue, it's just the norm. Like, this is just how it is. Rue's born on 9/11. Like, things just fucking suck. Like, America sucks. Like, that's just the state of the world.
Absolutely. I also really appreciate and love that, similarly to the other episodes, they did not... We always pride Euphoria not being super, like, political just for the sake of being political. I feel like it's always done in such a natural way that's very, like, likable and relatable and relevant, without it feeling like, oh, like BLM in your face.
They just shove it in there.
Yeah, like it like made sense with the dialogue. Like what he was saying perfectly somehow. Like they did a really good job of like intertwining that conversation with addiction and with like just the messaging behind it made sense to me. Yep. It wasn't just like, oh, you could tell like they knew what was going on, like BLM, they gotta throw that in. Like it wasn't like that, which I appreciate always in a show.
Same.
I don't need like the phony shit.
I know.
So I liked that.
What else did we get on details? We got another Minnesota Fats reference.
Yes.
Love that.
Like twice. He said it like 2 or 3 times. I was like, yes, Minnesota Fats. I want to give Alex a little moment here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to find where you said this because you nailed it. But after the show, the recap, Sam Levinson literally says... I'm sure everyone that watched it felt the same way when Rue retells the story of how her and Jules initially decided they were like dating, I guess. And she brought up the fact that they got tattoos on their lip. And he was like, whoa, you did? And she was like, no, we didn't.
We just talked about it.
And Alex and I were like squeezing each other's arm during the episode. Like, what? Like, was it a dream?
Fucking show.
Yes. But I'm going to give Alex a moment here because I was a little piece of shit in the other episode, whichever one it was. Alex brought up the fact that Rue is an unreliable narrator. And after we podcasted, I was like, that was really stupid. Like, why did you say that? Like, I think that's irrelevant. It's dumb. I was like, I just thought that was kind of nerdy. Like, you took it too far. And then Sam Levinson literally in the recap was like, I put that in there intentionally to let the audience know that Rue is not a reliable narrator. So sometimes her retelling of her experiences is not accurate to what they really are.
Right. And
which
Rue
is crazy.
Is
That's
really
mind-blowing because how much else is not true?
Of all of season 1. So like the bombshell isn't that they didn't get tattoos. It's that what the fuck else that happened in season 1 isn't real.
Is fantastical and just... it's also similar to what we said in the episode right before this one that we did, which is that it could just be Sam's perspective of what, like his story. It could be him kind of portraying like a lot of things that are a little more fantasy and not so much like what would take place in real life. So yeah, like more on that. I feel like I'm all over the place with my thoughts, but what I'm trying to say is I feel like Sam maybe, he's pulling the story from personal experiences, right? And we said in the last episode that we just recorded that we feel like maybe some of it is just him fantasizing what his high school experience could have been, should have been, kind of situation, or what millennials are doing. Gen Z, sorry. Like what Gen Z's doing, and maybe that's kind of part of it. If that,
I think that's
maybe
more,
you can put into words what I'm trying to say.
I think when I was talking about him like introducing like this as his version of like an alternate reality of like Gen Z, I think I was thinking more in like broad strokes and not like specifically to the story, like there being aspects that are like fake as his interpretation.
Not fake, I'm just saying like maybe things happen to the characters and he's like, I know this isn't happening with Gen Z, but I'm gonna throw it in there because
throw it in there as his vision or as Rue's.
I don't know, both. Like maybe all of the characters on some level fantasize a bit and we don't get like the full story. But Rue's the
narrator, so almost everything we know about all the characters in Euphoria comes from Rue. And now that it's affirmed that there are events that didn't actually happen that were shown in season 1, we have to wonder what else like we think we know about characters that may not be true.
Yeah.
And what other events that took place may not have actually taken place.
That's a lot to digest.
Which is very interesting. And I think it would be interesting to go back and watch knowing that particular scene is not real and see if there's any like visual or like story indicators during that scene that would tip you off as to other scenes that may also be false.
I would love to hear what our Euphorians think, like what they believe
My first thought was that since Ashtray gives them the tattoos, he's not real, but then there's a scene where Kat interacts with Ashtray individually with no one else present, so Ashtray is real.
Well, and Maddie and Maddie and Cassie buy pretzels from him and everything.
I'm glad Ashtray is real, in other words.
We don't know that for sure.
I just want Ashtray to be real.
But yeah, it's kind of fun. I kind of love that she's not reliable because now I can look back and kind of start guessing like what's real versus reality.
Mm-hmm. But boom, called that shit.
You did. So you know what? I will cheers to Alex right now. And I'm literally going to post like the exact clip on our Instagram because he fucking said it. And I literally was a little shit bitch and was like, nah, you're being annoying. Like, that's not Euphoria. And it was.
Hell yeah.
So the other part of that was really funny that I loved and was kind of comical because I'm the same way was when he was putting her on the spot. He was like, so how did you know you guys were dating? And she's like, we didn't talk about that. Like, that's weird. And that's so... It speaks like deeper volumes. Like on the surface, it's funny because like that stuff is kind of cringy. Like some people love that shit. I don't. I get really uncomfortable. Like even when Alex and I were first dating, it was like I'd rather just pretend like we're, fucking or hooking up. But like I don't want to say to my friends like, oh, like we're in love and we're dating. Like it's just like it felt icky in college to like admit that. It almost felt uncool. So I'm kind of curious if that's like the same with Gen Z. Or is it that like they have even lesser of like a connect? Because it's like, it's even more casual because you're like on dating apps and like doing all this weird shit that like we didn't have, I don't
think it's super generational. I think it speaks more to her immaturity.
Jules or Rue?
I'm glad you brought, both of them. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up as well. And I thought that was interesting and that it makes Rue seem very young. Where a lot of the time Rue doesn't seem like a young character. Rue is very worldly, like super cynical. She's very like experienced. Like she's
gone through some shit.
She's gone through a lot of shit. She's done a lot of drugs.
Well,
she's lost
it's
her
not
dad,
just drugs too. Yeah, I was gonna say it's the grief of losing her dad.
Been through the ringer, so she very rarely seems like a teenager. And in that conversation, that was like one of the first times in the show when I was like, oh yeah, Rue's like a child. Like.
Yeah, you forget.
She like thought she was dating someone and literally they just like made out in bed one night and like
and she thinks they're like together.
It's like you're not in a relationship just because you make out in bed with someone.
Absolutely, but there were many times in high school that shit like that happened to me, so I get it, but you're right. Like that's the first time we see
in high school, so that's why it makes her seem so young because that's something that happens in high school, and then you get older and you're like, okay, like. I'm old enough that I can understand. I need to actually like define things and like understand. Yeah. Like I need to be on the same page as the other person I think I'm in a relationship with.
But that's where it gets really dark because like you said, it reveals to us that Rue had to grow up very, very quickly. Yeah. And the addiction obviously doesn't help, but like she was you nailed it. I liked I liked the complexity of seeing her expose more of why she's so cynical. Like, we knew that from season 1, but now it's like we really know why, and it makes sense. It like reminds you, because if you think about it, the whole show in Euphoria, she rarely talks about her dad. Rarely. It's kind of introduced in the beginning, but then the finales where it like hits you like a fucking wall. You're just like, oh my god, like the hoodie's like her dad's hoodie, and you're like, your heart's just like breaking for her. When really, like, the whole time you're thinking about her drug addiction, you're not really thinking about her losing her father. Like, that's heavy enough. So I kind of personally, obviously, can resonate with that. So I liked that part.
Yeah, I think it was also another like benefit to playing this whole episode off with just Rue and Ali is that aside from that particular like part of the conversation, overall it also makes Rue feel very young and kind of like reorients her as a teenager again, because she's paired with like Ali, who's like, you think Rue's like been through the shit, like Ali has like been through the fucking shit, like
shit.
So it really reinforces that, like, not just an experience though, but also like ideologically and philosophically, like Rue has like all these super strong ideas, and then Ali like challenges them and tears them apart, and you're like, yeah, Rue is just like pulling shit. She's a classic high schooler. She's like pulling shit out of her ass.
Yeah.
And anyone that
She's
with
like,
a
the
college
ocean.
education could like poke a massive hole in any one of like her points and completely like just reorient it. So it does a good job of like reminding us that Rue is like a child, basically.
Well, yeah, I was thinking the minute she put her headphones in when he left, that to me reminds me of just being young, just thinking like sad songs are gonna like heal you of your pain. Like, that's
well, she
what you
listened to the
need.
song because Jules sent it to her.
I know, no, but I'm just saying that just made me. I'm not like, yeah, I'm just mean in general. It reminded me that when you're young, which she kind of mentioned when he was like, so you don't believe in God, what do you believe in? And she's like Otis Redding and like the ocean, like those are more powerful than me. And it kind of once again like shows how naive she is, because it's like, I used to think that too. Like, I used to think like Miley Cyrus was like the keystone to my life. Like, I thought listening to her music was like healing me as a person. I really like felt so connected to that growing up. And now I look back and I laugh as an adult. Not that I don't think it's like a cool thing. Like, I love music and art and things that uplift me and bring me out of those dark spaces. But as you get older, like Ollie said, you realize like that's not really like, it doesn't help you. Like, you have to go to therapy. You have to like be an adult. You have to fix your life. You can't just like sit around and be like, oh, like I'm gonna put on a sad song by Miley and like then wake up the next day and just relive my life over again, make the same mistakes, and then be like almost like continue the cycle.
Your God like can't be like a song or the ocean.
Yes.
Like, you need more than that. But I did think it was interesting also in that Ali's argument doesn't feel like a perfect counterpoint either.
No.
I think his counterpoint was like, you really have to like believe in something, and he essentially posits like, not that you have to believe in God, but that you have to believe in like personal revolution, something that like you believe in so much that it upends your priorities and changes your life.
Yeah.
Which is kind of it's a bit of a vague ideology, and I don't know that like
I think he was put on the spot though.
That's necessarily a perfect example either. Like, and for him it's sobriety, but if you can't like put sobriety at that level and make that like your God and like reorient your life completely around sobriety, like obviously if you're an addict you kind of need to, I guess.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting like conclusion to that. It made his point very much make sense.
It does.
But I don't disagree with Rue either that those things are like
at all.
incredibly influential and can be very healing and powerful as well.
I think that's why the dynamic of this
I guess
episode...
it's hard because she's an addict. If she weren't an addict, like a song or like the ocean can be your God. Like, you really can like orient your life around things like that. And I mean, not just a single song, but like art or like music or like things like that can be
passions,
can be that for you. But if you're an addict, you have to orient your life around like
getting better,
around
getting
sobriety
sober.
If you want to like not be if you want to like not be on drugs all the time, you know.
I was gonna say the dynamic of this episode was it made me remember how cool it can be sometimes when you do sit down someone that's had so much experience, more mature, like Ali, and then someone so young, like Rue, because you learn so much from young people. Like, I know that we're we're both 30 now, which is embarrassing to admit. We don't like being old. We want to be young again. But I feel that way when I talk to like my baby sister.
We're kind of in the middle. Like, I feel like I still
We
learn
are,
things
but
from
I'm
people
saying
older than me, and now I learn things from people younger than me
sure,
as well.
but I'm saying you gain a lot of insight. I liked that they, I just liked it. I liked the dynamic of seeing two people of completely different ages learn so much from one another. I didn't feel like it was a one-sided conversation where Ali had all the wisdom and Rue had none. Like, if anything, Rue said a lot of shit where I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex knows, like, I bet you felt it, and if you didn't, like, fuck you, you're my boyfriend, you shut up. I'm just kidding. But, like, when Rue was talking about being so frustrated with people being like, oh, like, why don't you believe in God? Like, God's there for you. Like, you're here for a purpose. Like, I've been through that
People died for, it was God's plan. Someone died for a reason.
Yeah,
like,
it's all bullshit.
That shit is fucking bullshit.
It is bullshit. And I hate when people are offended by me saying that. And I won't go too far into it because I'd like to save more of my personal life for another time, another episode. But, like, I lost my dad around the same age that Rue did. And I can highly relate to that situation of many, many people in my life. It's exhausting how many people try to give me that same spiel.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because then you're portrayed like the villain, like the one who's negative, pessimistic. You think life all sucks and you're so down all the time. Why don't you just believe in something positive? And it's like, fuck you.
Well, it's just bullshit.
I felt that way my whole life because I think that's lazy. I think, for anyone out there that has a friend that's going through anything similar to that, it's just, trust me, it's the worst thing you can do is say some shit like that.
I mean, yes, and not just because it's emotionally damaging to people, but because it's intellectually, like, bunk. Like, it's, like, you're an embarrassment for trying to, like, posit such an argument when it can be...
What do you mean, an argument? Oh, that, like,
their argument, like,
there's a bigger purpose.
It's part of a bigger plan, like, this type of thing. It's like, well, a 17-year-old drug addict just, like, tore that apart. It's like, so
no, debunked.
Don't bother. I mean, it always comes down to the point of, like, if it's, like, part of the plan, like, ultimately, like, what is the end goal? And when the circumstances are that someone shitty or gets to live and someone good dies, then you have to question the nature of the God who has the plan in place. If their plan was for shitty people to remain and good people to go, then
what's going on?
If that's really what you believe is that
then why was Trump president?
If you believe that that's really, like, the plan, then what kind of God would make a plan like that? And then you have to question, like, okay, so you're now believing in a God that doesn't really have, like, a very benevolent plan.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really match with, like,
most
people's idea of God. It's like, well, maybe
it uproots everything.
I mean, if you were the type of person that worshipped, like, a chaotic God who had some fucked up, like, crazy plan, like, then it kind of matches your ideology. But if you believe in, like, this, like, good God that, like,
has a plan for everybody,
is shepherding everyone to heaven, it's like, well, fuck, that goes out the window real quick. Like,
but I like that she said, because, like I said, I very deeply resonated with it when she said, what about, like, my purpose? What about my mom and my sister? Like, was his purpose just to raise us for, like, that short amount of time and then peace out? Like, what the fuck? That's fucked up. And
it's a bad fucking plan.
It's a bad plan.
At best, it's a bad plan. At worst, it's a fucked up, like, malicious plan.
Yeah.
That's leading the world into, like, greater chaos.
Well, and it discredits her father. Kind of
it
discredits her father because she literally said, "That's lame. My dad wasn't here just to, like, shepherd us for, only 17 years of my life and then fucking
then abandon us in, like, emotional
that wasn't
crisis.
His purpose.
Like,
that's dumb.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that she did that.
Kind of a shit life. Like,
it is. It's stupid. And I felt the same way. So I was like, I saw myself in Rue in that moment.
I mean, if my purpose was to raise a family and then leave them in crisis to the point where, like, one of them was, like, a devastated drug addict threatening her mom with a piece of glass, I'd be like, wow. That's like, that was my legacy. Like, fuck, that's a shit sucks. Legacy. I would not feel good sitting up in heaven being like, yes, but at least my family is here on earth, like, living at large. Like, no, they're fucked up.
Well, and the reason I said it's lazy is because from personal experience, I say that because I think it's like a cop-out. It's like you're not willing to go through the discomfort of asking someone how they feel about the situation, or how can I best be a foundation for you right now? How can I be there for you. Instead, people feel like they have to project all their ideas and what comforts them. It's selfish. It's always selfish. So it's like, all I gotta say is I'll just end it on that note. It's fucking selfish to bring up stupid shit like that when someone's mourning a loss,
because you're prioritizing your ideology over their emotional health.
And
like you're not thinking about
but
what's
guess
best
what?
for
You're not
them.
the one. Yeah,
you're pushing like your like ideologies and propaganda and worldview onto someone else without worrying about like
and listen,
what they need.
The intent a lot of time is very good, but that doesn't give you it's not an excuse. Like it's still
not a
fucked
cop
up.
out for being ignorant.
No, it's lazy. So that's all I'll say. Lazy.
Agreed. Anyways,
another that's why I said I have to save this for another time. But I mean, I said it in our finale episode. The reason I love Euphoria and even wanted to do this podcast was because I deeply connect with Rue, not because I'm a drug addict. I've never had a problem with drugs, but I know what it's like to lose someone you love, and I lost my dad at her exact same age, and just seeing what she's going through, it makes sense. And honestly, all the time, Alex and I joke, like, I don't know how I'm not a drug addict. I feel deeply sorry for her because that could have been me, and it's a lot of people go through that today from losing people in their lives that they've loved. So deep shit.
Yeah. On a different note, but kind of related, I think that the flip of seeing Rue like as a child or as very young and naive in the world is that at the end of the episode we also get like a brutal like graphic glimpse at like how worldly Rue really is and how much her experiences have affected her, because we're just left with like this long shot of her in the car where like somehow beautiful Zendaya has morphed into like this like old battered like exhausted
Sad.
like destroyed looking woman. Like she looks like she's 60 years old and like has lived like a fucking like 5 lifetimes. Like
I thought the same thing.
So
like her face was morphed into like a frown that just wasn't moving.
Yeah, it's fascinating that in the same episode we like reorient and remember that Rue's a child, but then by the end of the episode you're also like, oh yeah, but also like she has so much like grief and baggage and has lived through so much, like, and it's like
her journey's just getting like started, honey.
Rue's fucking exhausted. Like the fact that she is alive is like insane. So it's very interesting that within like an hour we see like ancient, like exhausted, fucked up Rue and also like very young, like childish Rue.
Yeah, and I said at the very beginning of this, I like that they peeled away all the, the rhinestones, the glitter, because that's so much fun, and that's what we love about Euphoria, but it's cool to see this other side that's a little more deep and heavy.
Yeah.
What did you think about, I felt like for me, the heavy hitter was when he asked, what do you want your legacy to be? Like, if you died, what would you want? And she gets teary-eyed. Oh my God, I was like almost about to cry because I was like, that's...
Yeah.
So sad that she's in that place. What does she say? She says, like, I want to be known for someone who tried really hard to be somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's
the meaning,
someone
like,
I didn't quote it directly.
She wanted,
but...
yeah, no, I think you got it right. But like, she just wanted to be, she wants to be remembered for trying to be good to the people around her, trying to not be like a fuck up, trying to like be a good, happy, like, part of their lives. Like, even though she knew inside that she couldn't be, she wants to be remembered for like giving all she could for her family and her friends, to be like there for them and to be like a good person
all she
to them.
could.
Yeah.
Just trying to get sober. I mean, that's essentially what she's saying without saying it. Like, trying to get sober. And that's not who she is. Like, right now, at least right now, she doesn't know any different right now, because she's always been an addict that's fucked up over and over again.
Right. Because trying to be good for them means what's good for all those people in her life that she's referencing there is her sobriety. Like, it's not good for anyone that Rue's a drug addict.
No. Which also leads to the whole conversation, which I liked a lot too, was Ollie and her discussing, like, what's a good person. I mean, we could go on and on about that, but I feel like you and I can definitely relate on a personal level. You and I have both made very big mistakes in life. Everyone has, but we've made some big ones, and it's cool to sometimes sit down with someone and talk about it and pull back the layers of, like, you're not really that shit of a person. Like, you're just not. Like, even like the shittiest of shitty things. I mean, if you're trying to change and get better, you're a good like, I don't know. It's like, what is a good person? That's such a complex conversation to have.
Right. And it's a very like rote
Nuanced.
classic like therapy point to be like forgiveness is like harder and also more important, but it is. Like it is easier to blame yourself and call yourself like a bad person. And if you are really interested in like punishing yourself for what you've done, then like actually try to be a good person, because that's way fucking harder. You're gonna go through way more shit trying to be a good person than just calling yourself a bad person and like being like, I'm bad and like I suck
And wallowing
like,
in it. Wallowing in it, and yeah.
That's like they did a good job like summarizing like that.
Which is Rue.
Which is that like that's easy, and it like almost lets you off the hook because it's much harder to be a good person and make like real change
than it is to be like, I suck. Like, I don't know, I'm guilty of that.
I'm unforgivable. Like, it's like, no, you're not. Like, but it's gonna be really hard to forgive yourself. But if you like give a shit about actually like changing and not being unforgivable, like then you have to like really, really try.
Yeah. It was fun. This is totally off topic, but it was funny when that lady was like, "You better pay me your tips, you cheapskate."
Miss Marsha, what up?
Miss Marsha.
Shout out Miss Marsha.
She was a great, cute side character.
Yeah, the tertiary character of the episode.
I want to know more about her behind the scenes. I feel like...
Another addict. I like that Ollie's just like, yeah, my girl Miss Marsha over there, yeah, she's like a lifetime addict.
This lady
like,
that's been serving us pancakes, like, she's
been sober 17 years, but I've known her so long that I remember her from like my crack smoking days. Like,
I have something to say that I just thought of too. I, for some reason, during the episode, thought, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought maybe he was faking the phone call at first. I know it's stupid. I don't think it anymore.
Why?
Because I thought maybe he felt guilty because he was kind of unleashing a lot about his life story to her. And sometimes, especially around the holidays, there's a lot of like Christmas movies where like, you know, families that are estranged, like they're like, I haven't called my son like in 3 Christmases, and then they like, you know, reunite and it's all great. So I'm saying I don't think it anymore, but in the moment, the whole episode, I was like, I wonder if he's faking it just to like feel like it's like therapeutic. Like he's like pretending to be like, oh, like how's it going? Like,
God, that'd be really dark. He gets out, he leaves a conversation with Rue to like fake a phone call.
No,
with
he
his
went out
family.
to smoke a cigarette, and he was out there smoking for a bit, and then he took out his phone as he was thinking.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm confirming with you right now, I don't think that anymore, but I'm saying while I was watching it, I kept thinking, I wonder if he's kind of like, I'm not saying he's faking it for any reason. It's like therapy. I thought maybe he was saying what he would want to say to his daughter if she called on Christmas. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to make it complex. I just thought maybe he's so sad talking to Rue that he's
pretending to like reconcile with his family when in reality they hate him.
Yeah, but obviously I don't think that anymore because the recap kind of showed, I mean, Sam flat out said, like, you get more of Ollie's life. You get to see, like, his family connection.
Yeah, it was nice to see more of Ollie's life.
Yeah, it was.
Or Martin, I should say.
Oh,
well, I shouldn't say. That's not his real, it's not his name anymore, but
they did a good job of, like, showing Rue's sense of humor still and his, too. Mm-hmm. With that.
Yeah.
Her being
both
like,
of
Martin.
them were very good in the episode.
She's like, you don't look like a Martin.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a Martin.
Well, no, because he wears his little Nation of Islam like skull
That
cap
was funny
thing,
too.
So he looks like Ali.
The jokes about getting Christianity wrong and like, or was it
that was
other way around?
Joke. Yeah.
Which was it? He was
says
Muslim
something
and
about,
then he was?
Well, he says that he has faith in Rue, but then he's like, but I could be wrong because I used to be a Christian before I was a Muslim.
Yeah,
like,
that was
he
funny.
used to have faith in like Christ, and like now he's like, now I believe something completely different. Like,
so he has 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his story was intense. And it also made you think, at least it made me reflect on shit like that, where like you grow up and you think, I'll never do this, or I'll never like replicate what my parents did or what my boyfriend did to me, or I'll never do this, and then you do it. And it's a weird like fuckery. I don't know. I was just thinking about my life and how many times I've done that as well. Like I've replicated actions of not my parents. I really haven't really done that, but like I've done some shit like in relationships where I've like replicated actions that I'm like, I will never do that, and I do it.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst feeling. So him like being vulnerable and telling her that, I felt that. I was like, damn, yeah, I've been there. It's the worst when you're like, oh, I was never gonna do that. And then you do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure that's one of the like major struggles of being a parent is living your whole life being like, I'm not gonna be like my parents, and then you're a parent and there's probably like times when you're like, I'm being like my parents.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
What was the... Okay, I was a little confused by this. What was she talking about when she kept repeating, I wasn't gonna be her anymore? Was she talking about committing suicide?
When? What? What are you talking about?
Multiple times she said, like, I wasn't planning on being here very long.
Here, not her. Here.
Here at the diner? Or here on Earth?
No, here on Earth. She was talking about
Well, that's
suicide.
what I'm asking. At first, when she said it, it almost sounded casual, and I thought she meant, like, it's Christmas Eve. Like, I wasn't planning on being here.
No,
like, no, I don't even mean it, like, in a funny way. I just thought she meant, like, I wasn't really, like, planning on being here, so, like, let's wrap this up.
She means Earth.
No,
like,
I know,
life,
but then,
like...
obviously, I knew when she started crying, but I was like, oh, shit, like, does she mean that, from the finale? Does she mean, like, that, supposedly, like, that night she might have wanted to die? Or is
I
it
think
just
she
vague?
means.
Is
I
it
think
just,
it's
like,
a broader like.
Okay.
She is
I just wanted more clarification.
in like a large aspect she's suicidal, and in another aspect she's like wantonly taking drugs. So I don't think that she's like expecting to live long, whether it's by suicide or like accidental drug overdose. I think Rue is very like resigned in a large part to the fact that like she's not gonna like be around that long.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it's
that was
super
really
sad.
hard to hear.
Yeah.
But of course, Paige's dumbass brain is like, oh, she means the diner. And then I was like, oh my god, she's crying. She means suicide.
Jesus.
I was like, holy shit.
She's like, Ollie, I don't think I'm going to be here much
Well, it's
longer.
Christmas
My
fucking
mom's going to come
Eve.
pick me up in 5 minutes. I got to go.
Well, if you're thinking in real time, it's Christmas Eve. Like, what's...
Jesus.
Poor Gia and her mom are, like, at home. Like, where the fuck is
God.
Rue? And she's having pancakes with her sponsor. I mean, I thought she was, like, trying to dip set. Like, I loved this, but, like, I wasn't going to be here long. And then she started crying, and I was like, oh my god, she meant suicide.
That's so
It could have been the wine hitting me. I don't know, but I was like, damn.
God, that's really funny.
I know, but that was really deep. And that...
That was really deep when Rue was like, I don't know if I can be in this diner much longer. I think I got to get home.
Shut up.
Told my mom I'd be home by 8.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Rue ever talk about almost committing suicide in season 1? It's been a while, you know. It's been a long journey, this podcast. So I'm really trying to remember if she ever distinctly said like I wanted to die or this or that. I don't think she really has. I think it's been strongly like you just assume it because of her journey, but I don't think she's ever said it.
I think it's been implied and by her actions with drugs.
I agree, but that was the first time I heard her actually say, like, I didn't think I was going to be here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. Good question.
Another point. Another question. What did she mean by Jules cheated on me? Is she talking about the bitch we don't like from the rave?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas Eve, and the timeline was winter formal. Oh, winter formal. So it's probably December, Christmas Eve.
I think all that indicates is that Jules told her about that, which I think we already knew. I'm pretty sure Jules tells her about that.
Remember they were in the
show.
stall.
Yeah, Jules tells her about that in the show.
She's like, oh, she was so hot, she bit me, remember?
Right. Oh, Anna.
Anna, yes. Yeah. Anna, that's the bitch we don't like.
Yep, fuck
that's
her.
That's that shit I don't like.
Fuck her. Yeah, so she told Rue. So, yeah.
So
that's what Rue's referring to.
So that's why Rue sees it as cheating when really Jules is just like, look, I like hooked up with this girl because Jules doesn't think they're a couple. She's like, girl, we hooked up after the fair, but that doesn't mean we're like...
It was like definitely a little shady on Jules' part, but her and Rue were 100% not in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And even if they were in a relationship, they had never had any kind of talk about like exclusivity or anything like that. So it's like...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
still a little shady,
the only thing
but
I'll
like
say,
not like horrible on Jules' part.
Totally. I see both sides though. I understand... And I'm always going to be more leaning toward Rue's, Rue's side of things. But I will say, for how young they are, Jules isn't in the wrong to be, like, exploring and, like, doing shit. I feel like that's normal at that age. And also, it is fucked up that she did to Rue. But, like we've said all along, like, Jules isn't, like, Rue's she's not there to like keep her sober and like save her from like this life of so many challenges. So it's a lot of pressure. And I think in that moment she broke and was like, I can't handle the pressure. I just got to get out. And I can relate to that.
I understand the pressure on
Meaning
Jules.
I would
and
do the
it's
same thing.
definitely forgivable, but it's also like
I don't hate Jules in other words.
Even though there was nothing like on paper, like she knew what she was doing and that it was hurtful. Like they had like a very deep emotional bond, and she knew that action would be super hurtful to Rue in those circumstances.
But do you think Jules did it? I mean, they're both immature. I now, after seeing this episode and her talking about their relationship, I was thinking Jules did that on purpose because Rue's always so quiet and doesn't come out and say, hey, I want to date you. Like, what does this look like? We learned that because I always thought after the fair, the next day's Halloween and Jules is acting all sorts of weird. And Rue's kind of like, oh, like, this is awkward. I thought we'd be tight because we, like, hooked up all night at the fair. But it goes to show that Jules was expecting Rue in that moment to kind of step up to the plate and be like, hey, I really like you, and she didn't do that. Not saying it's her responsibility. No, but some people do that. Some people kind of want the other person. It's like, it's okay, you and I always say this, right?
But that's just passive aggressive. That's just you being unwilling to like
young.
Be straight up. Right.
I understand. But you and I did that when we first dated. It was like, who's going to be the first to like ask the awkward question of like, so are we like together or we're not seeing anybody? And it's always awkward.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I feel like she probably felt in that moment, I really want Rue to like step up. I think that'd be like a turn on. It'd be hot. Like, I hope she asks me and then Rue doesn't do it. So I feel like I kind of understand Jules a little more because I feel like she kind of retaliated. And then it makes sense because at the winter formal, when they're in the stall, remember she's like, don't you want to like, she says something like she's trying to like seduce Rue.
Yeah.
Rue's like, no, and very like, I'm not into that. And Jules is kind of like, really? Like, God, I'm giving you like another chance to be like, I like you, like, fuck this, like, I don't want you to be, like, texting this girl in the stall, I want to be with you, and Rue doesn't step up to the plate and do that, so then Jules is, again, kind of like...
I'm with Rue on that one, because that's an immature, shitty way to try to do something like that.
I'm not condoning it.
To try to progress a relationship in that way is very, like, immature and, like, shady. Like,
I know. I'm just saying it exposed a new layer to their relationship that I didn't see before.
And I appreciate Rue more for not being into that in that moment. Like,
sure,
I respect that.
It was kind of sloppy and weird and but do you see what I'm saying though? I'm saying I didn't really notice that before though. I didn't pick up on that. And now I'm like, oh, like Jules was clearly like just trying to get a rise out of her, trying to get her to like confess her love, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it pissed her off. And
it was a shitty
plan. But that's why she went on the train and left her.
Because it was a bad fucking plan on Jules' part. That's a fucking shitty, immature way to, like, approach that situation.
Coming from the guy who was very passive-aggressive in college, might I add. But yes. I'm just saying it's relatable. I'm saying we do that when we're young and stupid and we're in love. We do stupid shit.
Yeah.
So I feel like now I'm more empathetic to Jules than I was before. I was just kind of mad because I stand Rue so hard. But now I'm like, I've been the Jules in that situation where you just want to be immature and be like, fine, you know what? I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to go to a rave and I'm going to make out with someone and we'll see how you feel. And then you'll really want me. And then Rue didn't want her. So it was like...
I've been both people.
So it's like, now we're going to go on this train. This is your chance. Like, I'm giving you this chance. Like, come with me. And then Rue's like, no. And I'm saying, like, I'm on Rue's side. But I get why Jules is, like, at that point is just like, fine. Like, I'm on the train. Bye.
Yeah.
Because it's like her last straw.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it that way before. I was just kind of annoyed. I was like, Jules, really? And now I'm like, I get it. She was kind of like, this is like the third time I'm trying to get you to like jump into my arms and be like, I want to be your girlfriend. I love you. And it didn't happen.
Whatever. You got to step up and fucking...
Step up and do what though? Like just be
step up
honest.
and say what you want.
Yeah, don't be
If
passive.
Jules wants to be with Rue, fucking step up and say it and stop playing games.
But like, Rue's kind of playing games too.
I don't think Rue's playing games. I think Rue's just emotionally damaged.
She's shy. Yeah.
Rue's just like Rue. She's just like... super
she has
scarred and emotionally damaged and like shy and like
totally
fucked up. Like I don't think she ever played a game with Jules. Like Rue is
you're right.
Rue is not like sophisticated enough or in a good enough place to even try to like manipulate someone.
You're right. So
I mean, I don't have to be right.
What else? No, I'm saying you are. No, I'm saying you're right. Like I said, I stand Rue. I'm on her side, but I empathize with Jules a little more than I did.
Yeah.
So anything else? What else, did anything else stand out to you? I mean, we've kind of covered a lot.
Yeah, I think that's most of it.
We're almost at like an hour on this, and I feel like, wow, which is cool. That's how you know it's good, though. It's like we just talked for 60 minutes straight, barely taking a breath. And I still feel like I could keep talking, but I'm not going to.
No, it was really good. I think we covered like most of the things I wanted to talk about, honestly.
And if we didn't, it's fine because we're going to record again. True. And we can add anything that we missed. But holy fucking shit. I guess, so that's it for you? Yeah?
Let's see. Shout out Coleman Domingo. He did a really good job in that.
Yes. Big props. He really, like, not only did we get, like, more of his character, but we got more from him as an actor. Like, he was great.
Really good in that. Yeah, I think that's
They have great chemistry.
Any random Euphoria updates since our last episode?
Not really, but another thing I will say that everyone was so hype on, that I also was hype on, is I love now whenever they release anything new about Euphoria, it says Emmy winner Zendaya.
Oh, yeah. She's also, she's like got signed to Valentino, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. She's like a new face of Valentino.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's amazing.
I'm into that. Valentino's been doing good shit lately.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of stuff with Undercover, which I've been into.
But yeah, no big news. Cool. But I will say, though, overall with the episode, yeah, they both were amazing. Great performances. And if anything, Zendaya just like she just reproved how great she is. That's not even a word, but she,
reaffirmed.
She reaffirmed her Emmy win. I mean, it showed.
I agree. She was great.
Her emotion was
very strong. It takes a lot to carry.
Strong.
You have to be like a like moderate to like very good actor to carry like a hour of TV with just you and one other person. Like, yeah, that's respect. Like, that's a big
I know.
task.
I was stressed like watching them because I was like, I would just be so bad at like memorizing all those lines and having that much emotion during it and being in one seat. Like, I'm sweating doing this podcast, just sitting at this card table. Imagine filming a scene in a diner with all these lights on you, a microphone, like having to let out emotion. Like, it's a lot.
It felt very naturalistic too. It really did feel like a conversation, which is like the goal, and they did a good job with that. It didn't feel like mega scripted. It felt like large parts of that could have been ad-libbed, but then afterwards you kind of see that it was like pretty like fully scripted.
I liked the outside the window shots too. Like, it was still Euphoria. You still felt the sense that it was Euphoria, but it was it was so euphoric. That diner was so fucking euphoric.
So euphoric.
Well, we are out of cooks, and we're, out of time. We need to drink more, so we are going to be done for the evening. But as usual, follow us on Instagram, _euphoric. Follow our TikTok, follow our Twitter, our Facebook, everything. Like, subscribe, review us on Apple Podcasts if you can. Any review we get is like a major +1.
Yep.
We're also almost to 1,000 followers on Instagram. That would be such a great way to celebrate. We are so excited to record another episode for part 2, which we don't have the title yet, right?
I don't know.
Oh, wait, sorry. I will say that was the one thing we forgot.
Oh, yeah.
The song.
Yep.
Trouble Don't Last Always?
Yeah, the title of this episode is a Christian gospel song.
It's not that important, but I did want to bring it up. It's Rev Timothy Wright. Do you think that means Reverend?
Yeah. Reverend Timothy.
Released in 1991. I just thought that was interesting because I know
our
girl.
Chosen I would prefer if they had chosen the title of like a Islamic prayer song. Because Ali is Muslim now.
True. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting because even though it's our girl, our waitress's, her quote. But I looked it up,
Miss Marsha,
and immediately this Christian song came up, which kind of ties into all the religion they were talking about too. So you have to wonder if they got it from the song.
I mean, Ollie's clearly very religious.
But anyways, yes, follow everything. We love you all. We will be back. Let's
also,
cheers.
Just a huge shout out to like everyone that's like listened and subscribed and stuff, like,
and to support us.
Seeing that like just the amount of people that have like listened to the podcast and.
I've just
all that, the Spotify like wrap up like stats were like
insane,
just humbling and lovely to see.
So cute.
Huge thanks.
Keep it up. Email us, message us. We like honestly love it.
Thanks.
Keep them coming. We want to hear all your thoughts on this episode and also on what you think will happen next. So just stay tuned. I always post on socials. Look out for us. We just want to shoot the shit major on this next episode. So let us know your thoughts. We always love to hear from you.
All right, sweet.
Cheers. That is so fucking euphoric. I can't believe we just watched Euphoria.
That's so euphoric.
Okay, Alex.